Hello friends! So what you're going to do is you're going to take one of your designs, whichever one you want to use, and you're going to draw that right onto your foam sheet. Okay? You can trace it if you want to. It is a little bit harder, but I recommend just drawing straight onto the foam. So look at your design and try to copy it. It doesn't have to be perfect, but try to copy it as best as you can onto your foam. Using a pencil or a dull colored pencil or even a pen could work, but not a marker. You need something that's going to carve into the foam, okay? So I don't want to go all the way through, okay, but you do need to make some deep lines, okay? So right here I have some of these curved lines, so I'm going to just draw straight onto the foam. So I'm pressing hard, and I'm going to go over it a couple times just to make sure I get it nice and deep with that line, okay? Your color, whatever you're using to draw with, does not matter, okay? You are just getting the lines onto your foam. So take your time and make it look nice, okay? So almost done with this sun part or the semicircle. I'm gonna go over my lines a couple of times just to make sure that it goes nice and deep, okay? And then I have some triangles popping out, so I'll do those. Okay. Half of one down here. I'm going to go over those lines again just to make sure, because if you don't press hard enough and you don't do it deep enough, it won't print correctly, okay, or copy correctly. Okay, and then I did some squiggly lines. So. Okay, so now I have my design on my foam. I'm just going to go over these lines one more time just to make sure that it prints properly. Okay, one more. Okay, there. I have my design on my foam, and I have pressed deep enough so that I've made like little indents on the foam. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I am going to start to make my prints. Okay, so I'm done with this paper. This is yours to do whatever you'd like with. If you have more than one foam sheet, you can do another one if you want to. Okay, so if you didn't have your drawing to begin with, then you could have just drawn straight onto the foam. Okay, so I'm going to put this paper to the side because I don't need it right now, and I'm going to show you how to print. So there's two ways to print. You can do it with paints and any kind of paint. I'm just using watercolors, but if you have a different kind of paint that's like liquidy or it's tempera or whatever, you can use other paint. Okay, so one way is with paint and the other way is with markers. Okay, for both of those, you are going to need some water. Okay, so I have my little jar of water. Okay, so I'm going to show you the paint first. Okay. So let me grab a piece of paper and let's make a print of this design. So here's my paper, okay? I'm just gonna print it one time. I'm gonna place it nicely on the paper because this is my finished work of art, not this. This is a tool that I'm using to make my art, okay? So I'm gonna use this as like a scratch paper and get some paint onto this right here, okay? So if you're using watercolors, you want your watercolor to be wet, but not that wet, okay? So I'm going to use this one. I think it's pretty, yeah, it's purple. Okay, so I'm going to get it, wake it up a little bit, okay? And I'm going to paint onto this foam sheet. Now, the paint is not going to spread very nicely because you're painting on plastic. It wants to push the water away. So it's not going to go on exactly like as if you were painting on paper. I'm going to put a little bit of blue on this side. So you can use 2 colors if you want, or just 1 color. But with paint, you have to work kind of fast, because if it dries before you're printing it, then it won't print. Okay, so it's still a little bit wet. I didn't put too much water, but we'll see how it goes. I might need to do another one just to see if it works. So let's turn it over. Okay, my paper is dry. This is wet with my watercolors. Turn it over, press down, kind of like massage, rub it on the paper, okay? And then I pull it up, and there is my print. So I think on this side, I think I did a good job, but I think on this one, I think I put a little bit too much water. If it didn't work the first time, try it again. It's kind of like a science experiment, okay? You're trying different things and seeing if it works. So let me try it one more time. I'm gonna do a little less water, okay? And you can clean off your foam and choose completely different colors, okay? So I'm gonna try it again. I'm gonna use red this time, but not as much water. Kind of like just get my brush a little more dry. There we go. Red. And I think I'll just keep it red. Just keep the whole thing red. Okay, so this is with the paint. You might need to do it 10 times. You might need to do it 3 times. Definitely try at least 3 times, okay, to print or stamp it. Okay, so get my paint on here. And I don't want it that wet, so I'm going to kind of like just brush it a little bit so it gets less wet, starts to dry. You can also kind of just like flap it. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to try to print this. Let's see how this one turns out. Place it nicely on the paper. There we go. There's another print. So it's not going to look exactly like your drawing because it's a different style of art. It's printmaking. You're making copies of something, but this would be fine. And however your artwork turns out, turn in a picture of it, okay? It's okay if you did it and it's like, I don't think it looks good. That's okay. Turn in a picture so I can see that you did it or you tried, okay? Now I'm going to show you with markers. So I put this away. This would be my finished art piece, and I can take a picture of it. Let's get another sheet of paper. And I'm going to clean this off. So I'm just going to get a little tissue with some water. You can always rinse it in the sink if you want to. Okay, just going to clean this off. Now, with markers, it's a little bit different. Okay, markers are dry-ish. They're not as wet as paint. Okay, so I'm going to color onto this with my markers. So let's see. And with markers, you don't have to be super fast. You can take your time and get the colors on carefully. Right, so I'll do orange, another orange up here. So with markers, it takes a little bit more time, okay, because coloring takes longer than painting. Okay. Here. And let's do some red. See, now you can't do this with your paints. They're going to dry too fast, and they're not going to stay on the foam. Let's do some yellow. Yellow here, yellow here, yellow here. And I'm going to do the opposite. Just like some, blue. Notice I'm not using any water yet. I'm just coloring on here with my markers. Okay, purple. You can use any colors you want. And once you print it, you can color it again after you clean it off with different colors. Okay. I think I'll use this one. Last. So, almost ready to print. So take your time coloring it in with your markers. Okay. Don't go too fast. Like I'm probably going too fast for you guys, but I have a lot of practice, so I can go kind of quickly. All right. So I have a lot of color on here. I think I'll do my blue just a little more. Mix it with the purple. Okay. Now I am ready to print this. Okay. But remember, I said you need water. This is dry. I can't do anything with this. If I try to print it while it's dry, nothing's going to happen. Okay, so what you have to do is get your paper wet. Okay, with paints, your paints are already wet. You don't need to wet the paper. With marker, you need to wet the paper. So I'm going to get my brush. You could use a tissue, a towel with a little bit of water, and just get your paper a little bit wet. You don't want to pour water on your paper. You just want to dab it on or just get a little bit on there, okay? Right where you're going to stamp it, get some water on your paper. And I know it doesn't look like anything's happening, but I can see that there's water on my paper. And let it dry just a teeny bit. But before it dries completely, I'm going to put my marker design. And you have to press. Okay. And there's my design. And if you notice, it didn't print very well down here. That's okay. And it didn't do very well there. It's probably because I didn't push down hard enough, or maybe it needed to be a little more wet. All right, well, let me try it again then. I still have a lot of marker on here. I'm going to put some more water on my paper. Okay. So think of this art project as a science experiment. You are trying things. Sometimes it might work, sometimes it might not work. And that's okay. Really rub on here, very good. And there we go, that turned out much better. So sometimes it might take a few times. And look, I still have mark on here. I could probably do one more print. Or I could wash this off and do a different color design or go back to the paint. But you can practice printing as many times as you'd like, okay? So when you're all done, turn in a picture of your art. This would be your art, not this. This is the tool we used to make our art, but this is the final artwork, the print, okay? So show me what you've done. If you want to show me a picture of your foam with your prints, that's fine, okay? You can try both of these, or if you only want to do one, I only want to do paint, that's fine. Or I only want to do marker, that's fine. Or maybe you try both and see which one you like, okay? So take your time, do your best, okay? And I'll see you soon.